For over 1,000 years, the Jedi were guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. Before the dark times. Before the Empire. That's what Obi-Wan said. But before that, the Jedi kind of lost touch with the Force a little bit. We're going to get into that in a little while. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Resistance broadcast. The base is open. Happy Thursday. We hope you enjoyed your holiday. If you're having a holiday hangover, too much food or whatever, we're here to wake you up because we have a lot of Star Wars to talk about. We have a great show. We have the Will of the Force. It's back with what? Five topics. We're excited about those. And we also have a discussion, which I just alluded to. Mace Windu talking about admitting that the Jedi may have lost touch with their ability to use the Force. We're going to try to dive into our thoughts on why that may have happened, who may be responsible, was it self-inflicted? It's definitely something to get into because it affects everything that happened thereafter. So we're excited about that discussion. And of course, your tweets in Resistance Transmissions. We have a really fun topic this week, and I guarantee Lacey's going to have a hard time getting through some of those. So
no.
without holding this thing up any longer, let's bring them in. James, Lacey, guys, how are you? How was your Christmas? How you doing? Are you ready to dive into these topics? I'm excited.
I'm ready to talk about all the topics, Star Wars, always as usual, but I do have to admit one thing. Today, for the first time, I realized that there was the Death Star. So it's a star, it's just the Death Star. And then there was Star Killer. So it's like it's killing the other star. I never put that together. Does everybody know that? Is that just obvious? I bet when the people were like, dude, we should call it Star Killer, they're like, that's exactly like, it's like killing the Death Star because it's bigger and it's better. No?
Well,
No?
I mean, Star Killer, I think they just took because that was Luke's original last name. I think they were like, yeah, let's use that now.
Yeah, but that's why it makes perfect sense.
But look how sweet my sweater is.
That's why I think somebody was like, boom, like they slammed their hand down.
Look at Lacey's Darth Vader TIE Fighter with the Death Star right there, just talking about it.
Those are Pokeballs. What are you talking about?
There's an AT-AT. Where do you get these sweaters?
Target.
Wow.
Target.
The people listening on our audio devices are like, I don't care about Lacey's damn sweaters.
Yeah.
Well,
just
hi,
give me the
guys.
Star
I can't
Wars.
So glad
see
you're so
it.
happy to hear about my sweater.
Yeah.
I'm good. If you want to check out what I got for Christmas that's Star Wars related, head over to my Twitter at Lacey Gillerin. But yeah, it was a good holiday.
Nice. Guys, hopefully when we're posting this episode, a clip from Star Wars Episode 9 hasn't come out yet, because then we're going to have to wedge it in here somewhere.
No, it hasn't. You can put my word on it, which is no good.
James
Your
Bain's
word's no
word.
good here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys listened on Monday, but Lacey lost the spoonful of sugar bet because there was no teaser last week with Mary Poppins or title for episode 9. So she ate a spoonful of friggin' sugar on Monday.
You're going to rub this in for a while, aren't you?
I'm glad you survived. I'm just keeping them up to date on in case they missed the Christmas Eve spectacular that you wanted
Go
to
check
call
it out.
But we have one bet still out there, and that's a pie-in-the-face bet at Star Wars Celebration over a Kenobi movie, and that involves the three of us. So we have a bet lingering. We're a betting kind of podcast. Very Han Solo of us. All right, guys. We have the Will of the Force. James Bainey, fire this thing up. Where is Mr. Imwe? Let's hear it.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
Guys, we've got some interesting rumors going around. We talked a little bit about them on Monday. Who knows when these are going to be confirmed? Maybe they're supposed to be, special for The Mandalorian, but we're going to talk about them a little bit because it's kind of floating around. So we talked about the rumors. IG-88, the Death Robot, and Bosk, the Trandoshan. They may make an appearance in The Mandalorian. So, with that possibility, let's talk about it a little bit. Will Boba Fett return in The Mandalorian? So, John, why do you hate Boba Fett so much, and why are you going to say, I hope not?
I don't hate Boba Fett. I just think he's overrated. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So, I like to just I think it was a bit that turned out of control, and it was people trying to be punk rock to like a character because it was different than liking Luke Skywalker or something. But I don't think he's going to appear, and the only reason why I think that is because he would take away the spotlight from the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal's character. Otherwise, it would make sense to me if on a cliffhanger episode 10 of the season 1, all of a sudden you see out of the shadows comes Boba Fett back in the mix because you got these other bounty hunters. That would be really cool, but I don't know that Favreau will do it. But I'll be pleasantly surprised if he does. I don't necessarily hate Boba Fett. I just think he's a little overrated. But I'm going to say, will he return? Right now, I'm going to say no, he will not.
Lacey, what do you think? Will Boba Fett, the Fett man himself, make an appearance in The Mandalorian, the show named after him? Not after him? He's not a Mandalorian. What's going on?
I think that he will because people want it and they're expecting it. So I think that that's why they're going to do it.
All right. Lacey says Boba Fett's going to show up. I think that he will not show up, but will show up in a sense of like helmets or like that jetpack and you know what I mean, or something. I think they'll kind of teeter around like he's maybe around, but he's kind of not. Like, I really think they're going to bring him up, but they're not going to like actually show him. What I could see them doing is kind of like what the Aftermath series was doing with Cobb Vanth, where like they could end a season with like, who's that in the rain? And then the lightning strikes and it's like a perfect Boba Fett figure. And then we won't find out till season 2 that it's not him. It's some other person wearing that armor or something.
I'm just thinking about like the weapons they already gave from the holiday special that were Boba Fett's weapons. They're already giving to the Mandalorian. So
yeah. You know, there's still people who think Cobb Vanth is going to be the Mandalorian character, but James, you know, it'd be funny, and it's a little robot chickeny, but we like that here anyway. If Boba, like Boba Fett in the Mandalorian, there's a shot of Boba Fett, like the Sarlacc pit, and Boba Fett crawling out, and all of a sudden Pedro Pascal's character flies in a jetpack and like drop kicks him back into the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
This ain't your show, Boba. Bang!
Like Liu Kang bicycle kicks him like like back into the Sarlacc pit.
That was a good move in Mortal Kombat. I love that.
All right, guys. So we got the next question here, and this one, I don't want to say spoilery, but like, hey, if you are a fan of the comics, go read Darth Vader 25. There's some stuff in there that's getting kind of weird, and it's coming back to some of the stuff that we've seen in the prequels. We're gonna tiptoe around it, and yet we're still gonna kind of give it away a little bit by asking the question: will Star Wars storytellers actually go there and say Palpatine was responsible for the creation of Anakin Skywalker? Lacey, what do you think?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? I think they will.
Why wouldn't they? Because
wouldn't they?
It's mysterious. Because the virgin birth is kind of a thing. So to give like their an answer, like,
oh wait,
we learned our lesson with midi-chlorians.
I took this question differently.
Oh,
regard what I just said. Absolutely not. They will never say that. I think they're going to leave it as it is.
Right. You're like, why wouldn't they? I'm like, because it makes sense that they might not.
Lacey's like, I took this question so wrongly that my real answer is the exact opposite of my initial answer.
In my head, when you read that out, I heard Darth Vader. So I was like, he was. Wait, what? And then you were like, no, like I was like, oh, no. Yeah. No. Absolutely not. No. That will never happen.
I think that they will. I think that what
I thought it was the Force.
They've kind of tiptoed around this idea. It was in a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. So I think some of those deleted scenes sometimes go into the canon of the storytellers and they go, well, that's happened. We didn't see it on screen, so it's technically not canon, but this is what happened. Kind of the same stuff with like the Clone Wars, like lost episodes. They consider it canon without it ever being a thing. I think that the story in George's mind is that Palpatine manipulated the Force in the process of trying to learn how to create life, and that caused Anakin's thing. And they never said it in the movie, but that's what's heavily implied. And I think that forever they will kind of tiptoe around that, and the fans of the series will just always know that that's what happened without them having to say it.
I don't think people care that much.
What do you think, John?
I'm thinking no, mainly because I think they maybe want to keep this thing kind of this is one of the things we'll never explain, like what Yoda is. And I really only think that because it's tricky. It really is. Because, I guess I don't want to spoil too much about that comic bit there, but kind of how it runs in is a little murky and ambiguous. And, so many questions like why Shmi Skywalker, like she's on Tatooine, like how does she get involved? She's not even a part of the Republic or the governance.
You have no place in this story.
Yeah, you're no one.
Right. So I don't know. It's all very weird to me. So then you had Palpatine saying, "I'm still trying to learn the secret, and you can help me learn it." So if you knew how to do it, then I don't know. It's very odd to me. So I'm gonna lean no.
No. All right. Well, I think we've all given our answers on that one. I think they're going to tiptoe around it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Everybody's talking about Richard E. Grant, right? Who is Richard E. Grant? Who's he going to be in this thing? But this might not Thrawn. Well, that kind of leads to this question.
It'd be funny if Thrawn was just like a foghorn sound on the podcast. Thrawn.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the Thrawn answer.
Thrawn! It's like the air horn thing. Okay. But is there any chance that Richard E. Grant is going to be playing a non-human character? So prosthetics or CGI or something like that. Like, who is Alan Tudyk? Is Alan Tudyk Thrawn? No, he's K2SO. Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, John. This is a good question. I'm going to assume that you think he is playing a non-human. Am I right?
No.
No. All right. Okay.
No.
What do you think?
I think he is playing a human, but I like the idea to make people realize, like, with CGI and tech these days, and not even just makeup, people could be playing anything. You could even show up on set without having to go through makeup and but do the dots and have yourself become something else. So even if we see...
Have they ever done that with a famous actor on The Mandalorian?
On The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I'm talking about Nick Nolte.
Not. No. Yeah, maybe.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah. I'm going to say I still think he's going to be playing a human of some sort here, but I like the idea of keeping that frame of mind open that he can be something else. Everyone keeps pointing to him being an old human of some sort, but it can be anything. But I still think he's going to be a human.
Lacey, why do you think that Richard E. Grant will be playing the first on-screen Bothan? Explain that.
First of all, never said that. That is erroneous.
I know on the podcast you said that off screen, off air.
Nah, not a dog.
No. Okay.
I think he's going to be human. I think he will not play a droid or an alien. He will play human. And I want to say he's a bad guy because he's British, but at the same time, I feel like that's the first thing I jump to. So he probably will be on the resistance side.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think that our brain is just saying, "Oh, he was cast, so he's going to be in the thing." But John, I think you're right, and this is a good question. I'd like to hear what other people's answers are. If you guys want to write them in like the YouTube comments or something, of who you think this guy could be, if not human. But I personally am still leaning towards the obvious. He's just going to play himself.
And
right?
if
Richard E. Grant, Officer Grant.
You can't. Can you comment on YouTube with photos? Is that a thing?
Not really. Like you could link to like
okay.
So
I was gonna say if you're watching on YouTube, comment with, like James said, but also maybe on Twitter, if you have a photo of a type of, if you think he's a non-human, a photo of a species or name of a species, let us know what you're thinking there. Because Star Wars is nuts. Like we said, Han Solo was originally supposed to be like a lizard. So.
Right.
You never know.
And then we got Harrison Ford.
All right,
let's move on to the next one. Now, this one actually comes from our patron Ryan Sime. Now you got me all messed up, right? Ryan Sime.
You had it right, James.
And his son was involved in this question too.
Nice.
My son, this is him quoting now, my son wants to know, what did Kylo do with his blue lightsaber, and this is where the will the Force comes in, will he ever use it again? Lacey, I'm going to go with you first because you probably know the most about Kylo Ren. Do you have the right answer to this? Because I feel like there's a right answer to this.
Should I leave the room?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, hold on. Let me break this question down. The question is, what did Kylo do with his blue lightsaber, and will he ever use it again? I'm pretty sure, and feel free to jump in at any point, The Last Jedi showed us that his lightsaber he currently has with the crossguard is his old blue lightsaber. But he bled the crystal to make it red. Or altered.
Well, we don't know that he bled the crystal.
Well, that's what's assumed from canon, I guess.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. So,
or broke it, cracked it, something. But it is the same handle. And they even hint at it in The Last Jedi with a pen that goes across to show the crossguard. They give you like a foreshadowing glimpse of what his hilt will eventually look like. Will we see him with a blue lightsaber again? I highly doubt it. I think he's going to have a red lightsaber for the rest of his life.
I mean, I think kyber crystal lore is so stupid, but
I thought it was like if you broke it manipulated the color.
You can change color so it can be blue and then be like, I'm a red crystal now.
What? No, okay.
I thought it was the energy that feeds into it.
Okay, so you have any color crystal, right? That is natural, and then you can bleed the crystal, which causes it to be red, which doesn't have anything to do with breaking the crystal. Breaking the crystal is the unstable, like whatever, right? But what you can do is you can like save the crystal or purify it, which doesn't take it back to its original color, but takes it to white. So if Bendemption is real, it's more likely that saber would be white, which would actually be pretty cool. But
why would he have to have a white saber? Not the Bendemption story,
just a white. What?
Couldn't he be a good guy with a red saber? Is there some unwritten rule that he has to have a different color?
Oh, no. I'm just saying if they did the purifying process thing to solidify the redemption thing, because it's already written in canon, then it would be white. It wouldn't be blue.
Well, that would be cool.
So I don't think you're ever going to see him with the blue lightsaber.
Yeah.
All right. So, Lacey, what's your answer on this?
I told you. I said his old lightsaber, his blue one, is now his red one that he altered with the crossguard.
Right. Yeah.
And no, he will never use a blue one again.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. Okay, he won't use it again.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to answer that question differently? Because I'm exactly with Lacey.
I want to say something about it.
Go ahead, say it. What do you got to say?
All right.
And now to you, John.
No, I do think it's the same lightsaber. I think, I don't know about crystal, that it's the same crystal or whatever. And I don't think he's going to use any lightsaber but the one he already has. Because even if he does come back to the light, it's going to be at the very end of the movie and he's not going to be doing any fighting. I don't think. It's just going to be one of those like, hey, I'm a good guy again. Cart me off because I'm crippled. And
you don't think it's going to be like epilogue where he's fighting with Rey somewhere?
No. It's not gonna, no Return of the King 50-minute ending. I don't think so. But I don't even think he's getting redeemed.
Post-credit scene.
There you go. Yeah.
You bowed to no one, John.
All right. Let's move on to the last question. Thanks, Ryan, for that one.
Thanks, Simi.
We're gonna. Our next one comes from listener Sarah Sahim. I'm gonna say Sarah Sahim. They said, will we get special editions of both the prequel trilogy and an updated version of the original trilogy to release alongside episode 9? That's a lot. Do you think we're going to get that, John? We've talked a little bit about why it would be beneficial for a special edition of the prequels before. We've had that war. And if I believe you were on the side of it should happen, But are we going to get it alongside episode 9?
You know what's interesting about that is I would say if George Lucas was still involved, we would. But, I don't know how involved the current crew is in updating these types of things. But I will say this, and like you said, we talked about this a long time ago. We even convinced Pat pretty quickly. I remember when we had that Star Wars war.
He was on the opposing side, and he was like, that's a good point.
He's like, oh, yeah. Okay. I think the prequels look really dated in terms of their effects. I'm not here talking about the story and all that stuff. But the effects look pretty rough. They look pretty it's like when I used to play Doom back in like 90s or Wolfenstein. I was like, this game's awesome. And then I look at it now. I'm like, oh, that looks terrible. It's kind of like that a little bit. It's getting a little dated. So I think they should. If they do the whole 10 or 9 box set thing and they redo it, they would need more time. I know the prequels took a lot of, the special edition took a lot of time for the original trilogy, for a couple of years to do it. I think 2 or 3 years. So they'd have to get cracking now. And there's no whispers of that. So I don't think it's going to happen. But I just wish it did.
All right, Lacey, are you with John, or do you think we could be seeing updated versions of the special editions and additional prequel versions of the special editions?
I think we're going to see something eventually, especially with the Century Fox deal coming through. I think you're going to see all the movies in one big box set, which would be epic. Do I think it's going to happen in the next year? Probably not. What's the next anniversary? 5 years from now?
So you think they'll do updates, like a special edition of the prequels, like update graphics or, kind of like the tree?
Yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so. The prequels are getting a little rough looking.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me think that this could be possible, I definitely, I hate to say it, Sarah, but I don't think it's going to happen alongside episode 9. I think that usually with these types of movies, where that's coming from is the mentality that get caught up before the final season premiere, kind of thing.
Right.
Everybody already knows these stories. I don't think anybody needs to be like, oh, it'd be nice to go back and pay to see these in the theater before episode 9 comes out to get a refresher.
Right.
I don't think that's really the mentality here. But I do know that they're gonna feel pretty good about owning all 3 of these trilogies, and down the line, if this truly is the end of the Skywalker saga, they're going to be doing Rian Johnson stuff. They're going to be doing Benioff and Weiss stuff. And at some point, if they don't have plans to do 10, 11, and 12, it does make sense to say, hey, let's just put a fresh coat of paint on the old ones and let's redo them. It's been a while since the prequels. It's been 30 years since the prequels were in theaters, so let's do something with those. I could see it down the line, just kind of saying hey, let's resell the same product again. That's a good Disney move. It's out of the vault, guys. The prequels are out of the vault.
The Disney vault.
The Disney vault.
What a threatening marketing tactic. You better buy Beauty and the Beast by March 5th or it's gone forever. It's like, oh my God, I gotta buy it.
Do you know that my wife was so scared that we would miss the opportunity to have Lion King for our kids that she made me rush to Best Buy to get it because it was the last day. And I got home and we already owned it. She saw an advertisement for it was the last day and it was going away. And she's like, you have to go get it. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
Man. Disney owns. Wow.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have a discussion to get to. But first, since we're, asking questions, we're toying around with some possibilities. We'd like to ask one of our general patrons a question. And Lacey, do you want to kind of give the question, kind of introduce this a little bit? This is one of our Patreon tiers, one of their perks that they get. And I'm interested in this because it's the first time we're doing it, but I'm interested to hear the response.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a segment we like to call the Patreon Podrace. So this segment is where we ask 2 of our generals a question. This week we're featuring Adam at Adam Odell. And we asked him if IG-88 and Bosk are supposed to appear in The Mandalorian. What did he think about that? And how would he feel about Boba Fett showing up? and here's what he had to say.
Hey Resistance, it's Adam. What are my thoughts about IG-88 and Bosk possibly joining the Mandalorian show? Sure, why not? I think I'm all for original trilogy characters appearing in new Star Wars TV shows and movies. I think like anything, it's going to come down to execution. How are they going to treat the characters? I think if anybody can bring these characters to life visually, it's Jon Favreau. So far in live action, we've only seen them just standing on the bridge of a Star Destroyer looking down. But I think he will be able to come up with some real creative ways to bring them to life. Also, will be interesting to see tonally how they treat them. Are they going to be really serious, intimidating, scary characters like bounty hunters, or are they going to be more kind of comedic, bumbling ones? Maybe I just think that because I watch too much Robot Chicken. Either way, I think they're going to have small roles, and that they're going to focus more on the new characters, which I like because I'm all for focusing on new characters and seeing new bounty hunters. As for will Boba Fett make an appearance? I don't think so. This isn't his show. And I don't think they're going to bring a character like him just in for an appearance. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Happy to join you again, Resistance, and look forward to talking to you every month.
All right, thanks, Adam. So, guys, what did you think of what Adam said? He basically said that he's totally on board for these things. He think it would be cool as long as they're not comedic relief roles, as they're more substance-based roles.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jon Favreau is definitely going to try to make this thing with a serious tone. I know he brought on like Taika, to do some stuff, but I don't think that necessarily means that this thing's going to be like comic relief, especially with characters that I'm assuming in his past, in his mindset, that's the epitome of Star Wars. That's what Star Wars is about. Is we feared the bounty hunters. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to make these characters jokes or play off. So I'm with you on that, Adam. So good on you. Good opinion.
First, awesome posters behind you there, Adam. You got the original trilogy. I got those behind me too, man. So very good. Two, I love the Robot Chicken reference. Maybe that's what was making you think that they may be goofy. I think that's pretty funny because I love the Star Wars Robot Chicken stuff too. I know you've heard me talk about that here, but I agree. Bringing in the OG bounty hunters, I think it's a good move. It makes sense in the timeline. More of it if it fits, like you say. So, a solid minute there, buddy. I'm looking forward to what you're doing in the months to come, and thanks for being a general on the Patreon. Appreciate it, and welcome to the Resistance, buddy.
Yeah, when we say general admission. No. I don't know where I was going with that.
Thanks, Adam. We really appreciate it. If you're interested to see what's going on with us, you can check us out at patreon.com/user/Resistance Broadcast.
No user.
Nope.
Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast.
There it is.
There's too many .coms that I have to remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. We have some really fun content there.
Also, not to mention, if you want your minute, just jump up a couple tiers to general, and you can get your minute on the podcast. We'll ask you a question, and you get the spotlight for
if any
segment.
slots open. Right now, there are no slots open, but we might open one soon. So
zero slots are open. Deal with it.
Sorry, but if you join now, you'll be alerted when a slot opens.
That's a good point.
There you go.
That is a good point. Can I join?
No. Back to you, John.
All right, guys.
John, you can gladly just give me money if you want. I'll give you my PayPal account.
Can I get a minute to myself without these two guys?
Please, that's the dream, right?
That's the dream. It's weird.
Never gonna happen.
It's weird doing the rumor reviews over on the Patreon, and then I look around. And I'm like, wait, I don't have to deal with those two. That's great. I'm just kidding. Oh, all right, guys, we have a discussion. The three of us are going to get into this one. It is a pretty cool idea we got going on here that takes us back to the prequel era, but things that affected everything that kind of happened thereafter for the Jedi. And this hits us around the time of Attack of the Clones, and we're getting into why did the Jedi's ability to use the Force diminish?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Toward the end of Attack of the Clones, Jedi Master Mace Windu suggests to Yoda that it might be time for them to admit that their ability to use the Force has diminished. Now, we're here to ask ourselves, what caused this, Was it the Sith? Was it Palpatine alone? Was it self-inflicted? Was it the Jedi sort of losing their way? Was it a multitude of reasons, a perfect storm affecting this here? So guys, let's talk about this pivotal moment in the saga. You had the Jedi who were kind of running the show for a millennia, and it turns out that they were kind of fooling everybody and finally coming to admit that their connection with the Force wasn't what it used to be. So let's dive in here, guys. What do you think caused this? And let's discuss it.
I can't help but wonder if it's because they got too powerful. So then the Force had to balance itself out. Like we see in the sequel trilogy where it's like the darkness rises, the light to meet it. Maybe the light got too much. So then the Force was like, okay, well, let's take a step back. That's my immediate response to this question is like, could that be the case?
All right. James, do you have an immediate angle?
Yeah, I do. I like that though. That's an interesting thought. My understanding of it was always that because they didn't know that Palpatine or the Sith Lord, the Phantom Menace, if you will, was so close to them, it was really easy for him to, I don't know, like trip them up and like use the Force just kind of like as a mental like game where now they feel confused, you know, because they have a trusted advisor. This is kind of like someone you know that you trust and you're asking them questions and they're giving you these responses that you're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a possibility too. I'm so confused. And the other big one for me is there's canon out there that says that the Jedi Temple was like deep, deep, deep down below. It was built on top of an old ancient Sith temple. Yeah. And that the Jedi, I don't know if they did or didn't, but I got the impression that they didn't know that. Only Palpatine knew that. So him being able to kind of stir that up just bleeds dark force into the Jedi Temple whenever he wants it to, and that could really mess with them. So John, what is your immediate response to the question?
Yeah, mine would be that they kind of lost their way. And I don't know if it's because of a level of arrogance or more of just over time kind of playing the telephone game. You kind of lose the path of what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it. Because when you think about it, Yoda signified this when he said, how did we not know that a clone army was being built? Like, he was shocked that they weren't able to realize that was happening out there. And that's when, you know, Mace Windu said what he said. Now, I look at like all the reasons I kind of listed in the intro. You know, did Palpatine do it? That seems too on the nose and it seems too obvious. Like, I'm the bad guy. I'm screwing you guys up now. Yeah, you know, like putting the stick in front of someone so they trip over. Was it the Sith in general? Like, maybe. I like Lacey's idea about the balance thing, but I think the definition of balance has really changed a lot over the course of Star Wars. It used to be wiping out the Sith to bring balance. Now it's equal sides. So I'm not sure about that. But when I look at the Jedi losing their way, I think that makes sense, especially when you think about the things Luke Skywalker said in The Last Jedi about the Jedi and how they kind of did get a little too dogmatic. And even Palpatine uses that phrase in Revenge of the Sith. And they go back to the Jedi texts and Luke basically went looking for the original Jedi Temple to get down to basics. It's like, I know, James, you like band analogies. Like when a band is on their 6th record and now they're famous rock stars and stuff, they almost forget what made them good about making a record. And maybe that's what the Jedi needed to do. So I'm beginning, like, everything for me is pointing to the Jedi kind of lost their way and that distance, they distanced themselves from the Force.
Lacey, do you like John's? Because I'm kind of leaning towards that. There's things about that I don't think makes sense.
Here we go.
No, I agree with that only because if you look at Luke in The Last Jedi, which I'm going to because it's the most recent one that I've watched, the fact that he distanced himself and even cut himself off from the Force, I could see that happening earlier on. Like, history tends to repeat itself in the saga over and over and over again. So I could see that happening where people are not having the connection they used to have because they're losing their way. They're losing their connection with the Force due to other things, like they're being too cocky or they're just too closed-minded in the sense of like they have blinders on of what's going on around them because it's been the same way for so long that it's one of my favorite theories in life is called the frog in boiling water theory. And it's the idea that if you have a pot of water and it's boiling and you throw a frog into the boiling water, it'll jump out because it realizes that the water is hot. However, if you take a pot with water in it, put a frog in it, and slowly bring it to a boil, the frog will die because it doesn't realize how bad the environment is. So that could be something with these Jedi where they don't realize what's going on with them because it's been so great and so wonderful for so long and they've been in power for so long that they don't realize the bad things that are happening around them because maybe not just that they don't want to see them, it's that they can't see it because they're just in this one environment. So I totally agree with John that it could just be like they lost their way.
What you're saying there at the end is kind of more what I'm thinking, but when you gave the initial example of like Luke, I think Luke was intentionally cutting himself off the Force. He was trying to do that, whereas I don't think the Jedi were. And when it comes to the way John's explaining it, John, you're saying that they were kind of losing their way. I don't think that losing your way implies that the Force is going to say, like, this is how you do the trick, and the more lazy you get with it, the less the magic works accurately. Does that kind of make sense? Like a magician that has to like flick his wrist a certain way.
I don't
like if they got lazy or they started doing it like not the right way, it makes the trick not work as well or the magic not work as well. Because I think if you lose your way in the Star Wars galaxy when it comes to the Force, you don't become Jedi anymore and you fall into like the dark side or something like that. But I don't think it diminishes your ability to use the Force. I think that is something that is outside of the balance argument.
Well, could it be that they're
someone
settling?
who's wanting to walk away?
Yeah,
like you don't use it, you lose it.
I don't see that because I think that was like peak Jedi mode. That was like the greatest hits of the Jedi, whereas that era, and then it just crumbled because the bubble burst.
Right.
But I don't characterize the Force as something that makes decisions. I see the Force as Yoda explained it, which it's a mystical force that binds everything together. It's not like I'm the Force and I think you should be powerful with me. I don't dig that.
I don't think I'm saying that. I'm saying like it's.
Oh, I think James is saying that.
Oh,
that the Force is like choosing things, and I don't see it as that. What I guess what I'm saying, James, about my Luke argument is that he's spent enough time. He's distanced from that era. He knows the history books now, and he said in their hubris, in their arrogance, they allowed Darth Sidious to rise and create his empire. Like he pretty much paints that picture for Rey, and that is not his take. That is the history books. That's how it went down.
But I see those two events as a difference of opinion. Like the ability, the Jedi losing their ability to use the Force is different from them not looking over their shoulder. Like, I think those are two different things. Like, they weren't paying attention. They were focused on other things. They were losing their way and what their purpose was as Jedi. And all those things led to the fall of the Republic. But what does that all have to do with their ability to, their inability to use the Force? It's feeling diminished. We used to be able to push 10-ton rocks, and now it only seems like Jedi these. No, but that is what it is, right? If Yoda was like very easily able to move Luke's X-wing on Tuesday, and then on Thursday he's like, I don't know, today I just feel like I can't use it. That would be the question. It would be like, I wonder what's going on. Why has my ability to use the Force been diminished?
Yeah, but
right?
Luke jokingly said it's not they made a joke about that it's not about moving rocks. Like that's like that's
I guess basic, what does diminished mean?
I think Yoda.
It means that they were unable to use the Force as strong as they used to be.
Well, Yoda.
Now they feel weaker. Now they can't see the future as much. Now they feel like their intuition is off.
Or the present, because Yoda's first acknowledgement of their lack of...
I know, he says always in motion and all that, but...
No.
No?
Yoda acknowledging, his first time acknowledging that they weren't able to sense something is something that already happened, which was the creation of the clone army. He was floored by that. So it wasn't the future. It was the present and the past, and that really scared him because what else did we miss? And what else did they miss? Because the Emperor getting it to Anakin and starting to plant that seed.
No, I understand all that, but what I'm saying is when Alderaan blows up, like they feel that. Yep. They feel that in the Force. Mm-hmm. So if a planet was being blown up and somebody says, "Yeah, they blew up that planet," I would look at Mace Windu. I'd be like, "Did you feel that? I didn't feel that. There's something's going on. Our intuition is off." And yes. You're saying it's because they're not paying attention to the right things.
Yes,
but I'm saying that I think that in this case, the Force isn't an entity, but the Force might be something like electricity or electronics, right? We've been using this radar for years, and it's always been able to see 200 yards around in our surroundings. But lately, it feels like it's only been able to get like 180 yards, 150 yards, 100 yards. So at what point do I alert to somebody? I go, "Hey, I'm just kind of realizing right now, I used to be able to see up to 200 yards. Now I can't." Like, what
do you think
what is it that's causing that inability? Like, why isn't this working the way it used to work? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's because I think they're also kind of not paying attention. But when they do pay attention, it's not working for them. They can't make it happen like they used to. They're not connected with the Force. And I don't think that has anything to do with them and how they view what's politically correct or not. I think it has to do more with, but that's what I'm saying is like they're losing their way. They're losing their morality or what they're supposed to do as Jedi. I think it has more to do with Palpatine saying, I'm going to mess with them.
Oh, no. I don't say that that's not a part of it. Yeah. I mean, Yoda,
I'm using my dark Force abilities to block their intuition.
Yeah, I mean, Yoda said dark side clouds everything. I mean, that's pretty clearly put out there. Maybe it's a mixture of all this stuff, you know?
But I mean, that's true too. I think that ultimately somebody say, yeah, it's all that stuff. But I do think that if somebody is like, when Mace Windu and Yoda are having that conversation, they're kind of saying like, hey, like maybe it's time we finally admit that we're starting to notice there's something blocking our abilities, is the way I kind of took it. We've tried to figure out what it is, but we can't. And the reason is because they don't know that the thing blocking their abilities is right over there. It's a temple.
No, I agree with that.
It's Palpatine. It's the Phantom Menace. That's what I'm saying. I think that the inability to use the Force doesn't have anything to do with their actions. It has to do with them just not realizing that the radar blocker is next door.
If you put your guard down because you're confident, because maybe you're arrogant, because you've been running the show for 1,000 years, you will allow something like that to happen. So,
okay,
like if you're winning the race, like Tortoise and the Hare, you're like, you know what? I'm going to stop and sit on this bench for a minute. He's not going to catch up to me, that sort of thing. Like arrogance can breed that. And I think maybe it is two-pronged there because the Jedi were so confident the Sith were gone. They were shocked when the Sith returned in the Phantom Menace. It's kind of like being on the one-sided of a sports rivalry. You're dominating the whole time. You don't even think about the other person. That was the Jedi. They were on top. They were the top dog. Then I think Palpatine kind of slipped in there. So you have a mixed bag of their confidence, I hate using the word hubris, but their arrogance in what they had going on, plus him clouding things through the dark side. So maybe it's a two-pronged reason. It's on them for letting him slip in there, for letting their guard down, and the dark side clouding things.
Lacey, what do you think? Do you think that if it's possible for the dark side to kind of block the ability or make it less likely for a light side user to use the Force, could a light side user somehow surround or create something around a dark side user that would make him less powerful?
I'm not sure, because here's what I'm thinking. If that's the case, if that's true, then you're saying that Palpatine fooled all these people, not just Yoda. Like, he fooled everyone. And there's no way that this goes back to our Force power conversation last week. How powerful is someone that they can block out the entire Jedi Council? That's a little too much on my scale of like superpowers. So I just think it was literally, they, like John said, they kind of lost their way. They weren't paying attention. It's kind of like when you think nothing's going on and you don't see something.
One person can be very powerful, though. I mean, like it only takes an individual to set a bomb that kills, multiple people or something like that. Like, I think
that's not superpowers, James. We're talking like a physical weapon. I'm talking like Holdo running the ship through that. Like, yeah, that's one person. I'm talking, you're saying that Palpatine has the power to block all of the Jedi Council.
Right.
I
think me and John are saying is that if nobody's looking for it and he's like putting like a jelly bean of dark side, and then the next day comes along, here's another jelly bean of dark side. You know what I mean? Eventually, like, since nobody's looking for it and they trust him, he's the leader of their side. Like, why would he be the one? So I think that it makes sense that he, I don't know. I was before the podcast started, I was watching Mean Girls. Like, nobody expects they weren't expecting Lindsay Lohan to be the person who was feeding them this bad information or these bars that are actually making them fatter. Because, like, how did nobody notice? How did Gretchen not notice? How did, you know what I mean? Like that these. I know, but I'm saying, like, one person was doing a lot of damage to multiple people.
Yeah, but that's a mole, James. Now you're talking about a spy. Palpatine was his own thing. He didn't send anybody in.
We're talking about the Force being diminished.
But he is the spy.
Right, but I don't think he's the cause of it being diminished.
I think he is. I think that...
You know what's funny? James, I'll give you this.
He is the problem.
Remember last week when you were talking about Luke using just regular human things in the Rancor pit?
Yeah.
Palpatine kind of just used regular politics to also hurt the Jedi by causing distrust in the Jedi with the public. So that was another tactic of his. And then the Jedi had to focus on harnessing their reputation. And that was another point of focus that they had. And remember when they said, if we're going to usurp him when he has the power, we have to be careful because they're going to think that we're trying to get the power. And he's already feeding that info to Anakin. Like, he was very tactical on a mental aspect, let alone the Force. So there are other ways that Palpatine did affect it without necessarily saying it was just him using the dark side as well.
I think he was just sneaky.
His political tactics were almost as impressive as his powers with the dark side. So that aspect of Palpatine's interesting. And you know what's funny? We did the Patreon poll on what character study we're going to have a discussion on, and Palpatine won that vote. So we have to have a full-fledged discussion on Palpatine. But in terms of this, as we're developing this discussion right now, I'm pinning several different things as to why their power was diminished. And a lot of it has to do with their arrogance, their misguidedness, and how they kind of ran their ship. It seemed like it was more of like they got a taste of the power. And I really think if we go back to the basics of what Jedi are supposed to be and kind of what Luke discovered in The Last Jedi, we will come to find that the Jedi did indeed kind of lose their way, like a lot of people say, a lot of religious institutions do. Add to that Palpatine doing his thing from a two-pronged effect, political and dark side. I think you have a cocktail of disaster, and that's what happened.
I got two things. And the first one...
A paper and a pencil?
Is, a paper. And the second is a pencil. I have a question for you guys, but before you answer it, I want to make my other point too. The first one, though, is, Do you think that if Plagueis was looking at Palpatine and he's like, oh man, that guy's going to be awesome. I'm going to make him such a Sith Lord. I haven't talked to him yet, but he's totally going to be awesome. And somebody comes along and kills Plagueis, right? He's dead. So Palpatine was never affected by the dark side at all. He was just a dude, just a human. Do you really think that the Jedi would have lost their ability to use the Force so quickly?
Not necessarily.
But before you get that, though, I want to drive my point home as to why.
Why are you asking me a question and then you're going to not let me answer it?
All right, I guess I just had my other point. I just
Lacey, what do you think about James's hypothetical question about Plagueis getting killed, even though it's not canon in the situation he just described? Go.
I don't know. This is quite the
Plagueis
deep
was
dive. I'm
Palpatine's-
trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say this at least.
I think that he was directly the reason.
Well, that's the thing. I think
As a Sith.
I think it's multiple reasons. You know, like you can be an expert at something, and it can be passed down to generation to generation to generation to generation, and the 20th generation of a family of blacksmiths may not be nearly as good as the original.
Are you doing that for Coco?
I know. No, I didn't even see that.
Generations and generations of shoemakers.
I didn't see Coco. But my point is, like, the Jedi can very easily, over a course of a millennia, have gone misguided on. They even lost stuff in their archive charts. They were a mess over there. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're missing planets in their charts and they didn't even realize it. They needed a kid to point that out. So it's very easy for an institution to get so big and so bureaucratic. And I think the Jedi probably did when they weren't supposed to. They were supposed to be like monks.
Yeah, but they're only missing planets because of Palpatine.
No, but they didn't realize it, is what my point is. Even that librarian lady didn't realize it. And all she does is walk around and ask people if they need help. And then she becomes like a fighter in a comic or something. But,
well, then maybe this is the good point to bring this up is okay, so we're doing our podcast, right? And I'm a wizard. I understand how to use magic. I use magic all the time, but I know for a fact that you guys are just humans, right? So we're having discussions, we're doing our podcast, we're doing our thing, right? And I'm a wizard, and I've been recently getting sick, right? I'm thinking, it's weird. Wizards don't normally get sick. There's something, I don't know, but I'm feeling sick. I would never think that, John, you too are a wizard. And you are, if I would have known you were a wizard, I would have been like, oh shoot, he's the reason I'm getting sick.
What are you talking
because
about?
you have the ability to make me sick. Mm-hmm. But the thing is like, I'm so positive that you're a human. You've told me you're human. I trust you. You're not a wizard. So there's no reason to assume that something else is going on. So I'm focused on that other thing.
Well, James, let me ask you, do I have the Sorcerer's Stone or do you?
My gosh. But you know what I'm trying to say, though. I'm trying to take it out of the context of like using the dark side and stuff because someone will come up with, well, balance says that. And I'm like, forget that. I'm just saying I have a superpower and I assume you don't have that superpower.
Can I ask you
a real
question?
But if I did know you had that superpower, then I might have been like, yo, if you're not Jedi, then you're something else.
Do you think, let me ask you this, going back to Star
My
Wars,
head hurts.
Away from Harry Potter. James, do you think...
It's not Harry Potter, it's just magic.
You said wizard. Do you think...
I know, wizard magic, that's not
wizards
Harry
that aren't
Potter
in Harry
necessarily.
Potter?
Exactly, I was trying to...
Do
D&D
you
anyone?
both think that Luke Skywalker's historical reference of what happened during the rise of and creation of the Empire is accurate?
Yes.
Yes, but
then that's
are
it.
you guys ready for are you ready for the hut take?
That's it. Yeah, what's
the hut take is
Make it quick. We're going up on
Luke's
time
wrong
here.
I think Luke's wrong about balance.
Okay.
I think he's like how Obi-Wan thought that Luke was the chosen one, and he's not. Mm-hmm. I think Luke's wrong about balance and equal parts light and dark. I truly do believe that is not what bringing balance to the Force is. But
interesting.
it's okay. Yeah.
So
that's another discussion.
Lacey, do you have any final thoughts now that we've dug through all different angles and we sparred a little bit and all that stuff on what's your overall take on what went down and what made Yoda and Mace finally admit, we ain't so good at this thing anymore.
I think that they lost their way and got distracted by their own arrogance, like Luke says in The Last Jedi.
And so then the Force decided that they were unworthy.
No, I
That
didn't.
doesn't
I
make
didn't say the
sense.
Force was like a breathing.
Well, if they
thing.
lost their way and the Force stopped working for them, then obviously
no,
they're not.
No. I said that the Force got
Okay.
too powerful in the light side, so the dark side rose to meet it.
Well, that's different.
That's what
Okay.
I said.
I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Sticking to it.
That's different than them losing their way.
So,
That's them
James-
sticking to their ways, being totally 100%
Okay.
for it, and
This
the
is final
Force
thoughts.
saying,
No arguing final
okay,
thoughts.
all right, I'm just
James,
all right. No arguing final thoughts.
what are your final thoughts here?
I think it's absolutely Palpatine. I think it's Palpatine and the dark side. I think he's feeding them poison very slowly, and they don't know what's going on because they don't expect him. He's the Phantom Menace. He's the problem that they can't seem to pinpoint what's the issue. He's the issue. He's the person feeding them dark side, diminishing their abilities and blocking their powers, and he's like, and they're just lost. They don't know what's going on.
That's wild.
And that
okay.
that plays him up as his ability to manipulate people.
And what I'm going to
and
do
fool
is,
them.
in the spirit of balance, I think you're both right. I think
Boo! No, just kidding. I do that all the time.
I think Palpatine was right time, right place kind of guy. Just like when Belichick took the Patriots when the rest of the division stunk. So my football fans
And I get yelled at for
Yay,
Harry
sports.
but no, yeah, I think he struck at the right time where the Jedi were at their peak power, but they were very guard down, arrogant, bigger than they ever were, and people started losing trust in them. There was unrest in the Republic, and Palpatine sunk his teeth into that. So I think it was like I said, a perfect storm of all those things that caused them to diminish their powers with the Force. And I do not think the Force is like, I don't like you anymore, Mace Windu, so I'm not giving you my Force.
That's not what I said, but okay.
No, I said James. James said that. I love anytime I
think
say
that's what Lacey's
anything
saying.
bad. Lacey's like, he must be talking about me. Only with Kylo, Lacey. Only with Kylo Ren.
One thing that's really cool about these discussions is that I came into this with an open mind, but after hearing the alternate points of view, I do feel stronger in my opinion, which makes me feel like I have a better grasp on the rest of the canon from my own point of view, you know.
Interesting. All right, so guys, let us know what you guys think out there. What caused this? Was it the Jedi themselves? Was it Palpatine himself? Was it a mix of all those things? And maybe something else that we're not even thinking of that you may come up with. Hit us up in the comments, wherever you're listening to this or watching this. And of course on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And if you're a long form person, you can email us at resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to that discussion. And now it's time to get out of the deep dive and serious stuff with the
head
lore
hurts.
and all that. And what better way to make Lacey's head not hurt than to make her laugh? And what we're going to do here is send it to her to read your tweets in Resistance Transmissions. Lacey, what do we got?
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. All right, so I'm going to try not to cough through this. I'm getting over a cold here. Every week, John gives you guys a wacky, crazy situation. That was for Joel. And you guys have to tell us what you think. So, the situation this week is, let's assume a Kenobi movie is made. Assume correct. And Qui-Gon randomly shows up to Obi-Wan for the first time since his death. What is the first thing Kenobi says to his former master? All right.
And can I say something real quick?
Sure.
A lot of people out there are like, well, Claudia Gray did a short story and from a certain point of view about this. Guys, I know. It's a fun segment. We're just... okay.
Let us have our fun. Okay, first up is Fantha Tracks. Hey, guys.
Hey, Fantha Tracks. They always share our episodes. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome.
Fantha Tracks says, Master Qui-Gon, remember when you told me to train him?
Legit.
Thanks a lot.
Next up is Steel Saunders at Steel Wars. Hey, Steel.
Hey.
What's up, Steel?
How's it going? And he said, ... Yeah. He came back another 2 times. No 3. Dead now, though, I think. You wouldn't believe his new legs. Obviously, Darth
Oh
Maul.
my gosh.
Maul, yeah.
Next is our buddy Kyle Larson at Kyle97202. And Kyle says,
Way to get your handle.
Kyle, you got to get your handle, dude.
I know. Kyle says, remember that lesson you taught me about the high ground?
Yeah.
Well, it worked.
All right. Next is Barry Mason at Barry with an A, with an _ A. And Barry says,
With an A.
well, Master, I must say, you were strong with the Force, but a bad judge of character. Next up is More 5150 at More 5150, and it's More spelt MOHR. And he says, before you say anything, remember that midichlorian thing you did with Anakin? Well, I call shenanigans.
I do
That's a
too.
good one. Yeah, that's stupid. Next is Mike Sellers at Puck32Ellers. And he says, I avenged your death and killed Darth Maul. Twice, actually.
Did he? Yeah.
Dun, dun. Okay.
Dun, dun.
Next is Ian Fee at Ian Fee. And he says, remember that very particular set of skills you acquired over a very long career? Can you teach me them? Taken
reference, yeah.
Next is Clark, the Herald Angel Sings. Hey.
This is the closest to the one that I think would be the most realistic answer.
And he's at TK9582.
Ah, Stormtrooper. Okay.
Yeah, and he says, train the boy, you said. He is the chosen one, you said. It would be fun, they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys,
That's a...
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I think that one is makes the most sense to be like, you know, you were right. he was in fact special.
Special for the wrong.
We should go.
things.
Yeah, we should go back and look at the prophecy though. Try to maybe.
Can we rethink this?
I think you were taught different. I'm also surprised no one said hello there. I thought that was the
I have
big
to say,
giveaway.
There were about 10 hello there's.
Yeah.
And I canceled them all out. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN on Twitter. Every week, John puts up some crazy, wacky situation where you need to give us your fill in the blank or answer.
Fill in the breaks.
I know,
Franks.
I can't talk. Blank. Let us know what you think. Funniest, most creative ones usually make it on the show, so have fun with it.
Yeah.
Make me laugh when I'm trying not to cough or trying to breathe.
Fill in the Brack show.
Yeah. So thank you guys. And I'll see you around the interwebs. Back to you, John.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. As you just saw, we had a pretty in-depth, deep discussion where we went back and forth a little bit and battled, and that segment, Resistance Transmissions, always kind of lightens everything and makes us laugh, and we like it that way around here. So thank you so much for every week contributing. We appreciate that. Keep them coming. We love it. Make sure you guys are subscribed to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. If you're watching, hello, I see you there. I see you there. Share this video and this track with a friend. I know it's around the holiday week.
Tell
pass
your
the
weird
word on.
uncle I say hi. Everyone has one.
Yeah, that one cousin that you only see around the holidays. Be like, Dudette, I know you like Star Wars. Check these guys out. They're good. They're good. We appreciate
I think
that.
it's weird that Lacey wants you to tell the weird uncle, like, say hello to Eddie for me.
Yeah. Who's a weird uncle in Star Wars? Owen? Is he weird?
Nah. Weird uncle would be like DJ.
Okay, I'm saying
No,
an
but-
actual uncle.
An actual uncle.
Actual uncle.
Luke?
I
Is
mean, I
Luke
don't
a
think we
weird
really
uncle?
see.
Yeah, I guess Luke is the weird uncle.
Luke is a weird uncle. Like
He's the
Kylo-
one that tries to murder you in your sleep.
Kylo Ren's at
Casual.
like a first order gathering, and he's like, "Dude, my uncle
Tried to kill me once.
Luke Skywalker is my uncle." I'm like, dude, that's crazy.
Honestly, I don't know how many uncles we've really seen. I'm trying to like
all right, well,
think of any. Yeah, we'll figure
we'll
it out.
do the best uncles Kessel Run one day.
Or cool on.
put your-
There's usually a cool on. Everyone has that cool, like, I won't tell your mom you're drinking aunt. Everyone's got
Yeah,
that.
that's true. I have a cool aunt. I'm not going to reveal who because I want to keep her cool.
Are you talking about Rey's Aunt Leia?
All right, guys, listen. Share the
Crazy
episodes,
girlfriend.
and we appreciate that. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. I want to thank our generals. We have Thomas, we have Adam, we have Mello, and Val. Thank you so much, and thank you all of our patrons for your support. We really, really do appreciate that. You guys can head to tpublic.com/user/Resistance Broadcast. Check out some of our gear, and make sure every day you're checking out our site, StarWarsNewsNet.com, to keep up to date on your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and over at Star Wars Newsnet. James, how about you?
Twitter, as always, Myra Trunks. It's a Dragon Ball character, but I like Star Wars. Mostly talk about Star Wars.
All right. I dig that. Lacey, you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Kylo Ren and my love for Star Wars.
Yes. You guys both do all of those things. It's fantastic. Guys, we are going... I hope you guys enjoy your weekend leading up to New Year's. We are going to be with you on New Year's Eve. Are we going to be talking... Are we going to... Maybe we'll make it a New Year's Eve party, and we'll do a phantom countdown so you can match it up with us at midnight, right? Are we going to be talking about a Star Wars...
Tonight we're going to party
clip
like it's
that's-
2019.
Whoa! Well, not tonight. Monday. Right?
What?
Yeah, Monday.
What?
Guys, are we going to be talking about a Star Wars behind-the-scenes clip or something that came out? We'll find
hope so.
out. We'll find out. But
No.
thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you guys. Enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you on Monday on New Year's Eve, right here on the Resistance Broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
Bye.